Hello everyone and welcome to Gierok Farms. In today's video we are going to bring you along with for post-milking chores. We have a couple loads of silage to move today, and we got to take a better look at the trench here and let you guys know what's going on with that. We also are going to bed up the bull barn quick. They could use another bale. It's another cold day here in Wisconsin, and I'm excited to bring you guys along with and show you what we got going today. So thank you all for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the video. All right, we got them all bedded up, especially when it's cold like this for a long stretch. That's about all we can do because the manure in the bedding pack is freeze dried. So the next warm stretch we'll be cleaning them out. But as for now, we're just gonna add to the bedding pack. We're gonna add a nice fluffy absorbent layer, keeping them clean and happy. And as you can see, we kind of create a nice airlock system. But now we're gonna move on to the feed portion of chores. Dad's got the 7405 fired up with our dump wagon. We got a little silage left on there, so we're gonna unload that into our calf barn here before we go and get a load for the heifer and bull barn along with the dairy cows. Feed distributed in the calf barn. Now we're gonna head down to the big pile, get that opened up a little better, and bring them other two loads up.
Sometimes you got like 2 feet, you got to shovel it off. You don't want to feed your cows all that snow and ice if you don't have to. A little bit ain't gonna hurt.
Nice little pile here all stirred up and ready to load into the dump wagon. We wanted to take a couple minutes here and talk to you guys and update you on how the pile's looking. We did a video like this right when we opened it a couple months ago, towards the beginning of the year, if not the end of last year. I think the feed quality is looking really good, and
it's looking good for how late we made our first crop. I think there's more sugar in it because it's got a lot of grasses in our hay when it's made a little later. I kind of cleaned this up a little for you guys to see. So right up here, if you look back on some of our videos, now that there's some third crop, there's maybe about a foot and a half for the third crop. And then this field out here had new seeding, so there was some regrowth of oats and alfalfa and grasses in there. So that went in there, and then one field of just third crop had a lot of grass in it too. That's excellent. And then you see our corn layer all the way to here, and it's very packed. And then as you go down further, it gets deeper. Our first crop, and I know this was probably up here before we started, but all the pressure of the feed packed it down. I'm very impressed with this pile. We have virtually no mold at all this year, mostly due to the temperature, I think.
When it came to inoculant and the preservative, we really didn't change a whole lot. I think we put a little more on.
I did put more on,
but it wasn't a huge change. You
No.
know, we didn't change brands or type or anything like that.
But then again, those type of things, you know, even people that sell it to you, really what's in the bag? Is it, it's apparently some sort of bacteria that's supposed to start working. And so if we had some left over, they take it back before the end of the season. They'll be able to, what they claim is whatever's left in their warehouses, they rebug it. Some science to it, but you know, it's got a shelf life, let's just say. So then you have to question how good was it?
Yeah.
You know, but from year to year, I always felt we were trying to do the right thing. But yeah, this year we did put a little more. We only hope what we're buying is what we're getting.
Then another interesting thing with this time of year is seeing how deep it froze into the pile. Like here, you can see a change in color based on how...
Yeah, it's about 10 inches. And I've seen it back in the 90s more yet. So for instance, even if we had a lot of snow, sometimes that would blow off the top. It'd only be a few inches stuck between the tires, and then there'd be these huge sheets. They'd come off of there as big as the skid steer, and you'd be driving on them to smash them up. Or I had it even one time where I just stacked them up on the side, and then we had some warmer days, they just broke up easier. Because the cattle, as long as it's going to stay cold, like say you're going to get sub-zeros for a week and a half, well, that stuff's not going to... They're just going to be pushing it around. They're not going to be eating it and that. But once it starts getting a little above freezing, it doesn't take much. It breaks up. That's still better than mold. You know, it's a freezer. It's a refrigerator effect. You know.
Yeah. And before we forget about it and get off the topic, when it comes to blizzard conditions, I have a story about Dad was actually going on vacation, and moving tires up here reminded me of how important it is during blizzard times of year to keep that layer of tires pretty heavy up there. Because I had it once where, after chores, I was firing up the boiler and I could see this tarp just like a sail in the wind. I had to kick it back at least, I don't know if it was 10 to 15 feet or more.
And you only hope, see, then you can't reseal that. You can throw the tarp back, you know, and pin it, but it's already ripped. And so like what we're doing too is so March, you usually get these winds. There's a little snow and ice up there. You try to keep as many tires concentrated as you can, because if the wind comes from the south, it'll grab this, see, once it's open like that. It comes from the northwest, well, that's the other end, so it depends on which end's open. But yeah, you got to be careful with that. And the bigger the pile, maybe the more forgiving it can be.
Yeah.
Just like anything, you got good feed, keep it good until it gets fed to the cows.
While we're feeding out of it, we can't open it up too much at a time.
So what I'll do is probably, so in 3 days from now we come again, and it's supposed to get warmer. I'll get up there with a knife and cut it back a few more feet just to keep the tarp from getting too much of a thing hanging over. But
Yeah, or if we knew there was going to be a bunch of rain, then we would do the opposite. And
I used to always like to pin it shut because if you got a lot of snow, you know, to clean this face off, because what would happen, the Northwest is that way, take all that snow off them fields, just like a snow fence. It would be like this deep in here. You know, and I had years where I would back in here with the snow blower and then hope you don't grab a tire or something, because then I had some tires pinning it down here and that. I think if we keep our face real clean and straight every time when we're done, so today we got to take up 2 more loads and then it'll be 3 days again. So this will be a load and then another one for the dairy cows, and we'll try to keep our face clean. That's really the key, is how you feed it. Then inoculant again too, it has something to do with bunk life, so that as we get in towards spring, or if you're feeding this in the summer months, it will prevent it from starting to heat as easily. Because I think what people normally try to do is try not to feed too much at a time when it's warmer. Like now when it's cold, we can do that. We can just pile it up and just kind of keep shoving it up. You know, once it gets to be 60, 70, like 80 degrees, it spoils fast. It's like there's no refrigerator in.
That's where those defacers come in real handy, especially on a bigger pile where they're feeding throughout the summer off that pile. Keeping your face nice and even limits the amount of surface area that can start to heat and mold.
We might look into some of that if we can get something more simple. I know I've seen some stuff in Europe where they cut this cube out and they got all sorts of things now. I'm sure they got even more, but it might be worth checking into. Again, it's another attachment, being that this isn't that huge and it's mostly just our winter stuff. You have to ask yourself, is it worth doing?
I could thinking about it now, I could see where with the layer that we have with this pile between the different feed types, where that could almost help stir it even nicer than with the bucket here.
You know, it's just an idea. And another thing, I was looking here, so when we put the corn silage in, there's a lot of juice in the corn silage, but it looked like it soaked into the hay only, you know, 2 to 3 inches here at the most. We're able to put our corn silage in a little wetter doing it like this, because I've seen guys make piles like this and there's like the juices are trickling out off the concrete pad. It's like your nutrients are getting away. We're here, if we did, like the corn this year wasn't too wet, but you know, you can cheat a little more and nothing's going anywhere. The hay's the sponge. That really is kind of a good feeling that way. We're not losing that.
Another topic I wanted to bring up, you just went to a board meeting for the co-op. Learn anything interesting there? Any comments from that?
Well, it's kind of getting more where it's our co-op, it's our company. If you sell your product to this company, it's you know, they take a piece of your profit to run the company, and I guess we're speaking our mind a lot more. So it's a cheese company. Cheese, whey, butter, but mostly cheese and different types of cheese. Big new thing now is cheeses with pepper jack is one of our big ones, and a bunch of other ones, and they were looking for ideas from people, and they had a board up where you could write down what you like in your cheese. You could put pickles in it. I thought of bacon, and I think anything bacon. I think we really should try it. And it's really just a kind of a thing like any chef. You experiment a little bit. Because the market is, you know, cheese is just kind of an old plain Jane thing. As long as it's made well, it's always cheese. But when you start adding other things to it, now you get like a niche. We got a plant in Jim Falls that does an excellent job at stuff like that. And we've got a lot of awards. Company's got a lot of awards for cheese making and worldwide awards. So
even though we're pushing volume through that co-op, and we're, you know, it's a pretty big company, still have to have a niche. Consumers always, every time they go to the grocery store, they're looking and they're picking.
We're catering to the consumer.
Yeah.
And we've noticed that more, that, well, what do they want? So for instance, like my wife's father was from Switzerland, so we got family over there, been over there. Switzerland's known for their cheese, chocolate, their breads, very high end. I didn't really think it was that big a deal what their cheese was, because we're already used to good cheese here in Wisconsin. It just makes a person feel more confident about what we're producing and the end results.
All right, well, there's an update. We'll get back at it. Make sure to leave plenty of comments down below to add to that conversation, especially you farmers. We'd be interested to hear from you. What were your inoculants? What did you do to store feed nicer? And you know, what's your opinion of the way the industry's going when it comes to catering to the consumer? We love reading them comments, so feel free to leave your opinions down below, and it makes good conversation. Man, it is not very warm out there. It is a cold one, that's for sure. We have all the feed loaded up. We're gonna keep the wagon out of the shop for this afternoon. We have some projects to work on in here, so stay tuned for those videos. I wanna thank you all for sticking to the end. Make sure to leave your comments down below. We love hearing your input. Make sure to share the video with people who you think would enjoy it as well. Hit that subscribe button, it's free. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers. It'd be awesome to get there before the end of this year. A lot of you that watch aren't subscribed. It's easy to do, just click the button and it'll just remind you when we're posting a video. But anyways, thanks for being part of the journey. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. That is gonna be it, and we will see you all next time on Gierok Farms.